The night began with a strange heaviness I couldn't quite explain. My wife Emily had spent the entire week talking about her boss's party, how important it was, how many influential people would be there, and how she needed to make an impression. I assumed she meant we needed to make an impression together as a couple, as a team. I put on my best suit and even practiced a few polite lines of small talk in the mirror because I wanted to support her. But the moment we stepped into the hall filled with executives, warm golden lights and soft jazz, she walked 2 steps ahead of me as if we'd arrived separately. She didn't take my hand, didn't glance back, and didn't wait for me to catch up. That should have been my first warning, but I ignored it, hoping the night would improve. It didn't. Within minutes, Emily was surrounded by co-workers and managers, smiling wider than I'd ever seen at home. She laughed loudly at jokes that weren't funny, touched her boss's arm like they were old friends, and introduced everyone to one another except me. I stood right beside her, inches away. Yet, she acted as if I were a stranger who had wandered in by mistake. Not once did she say, "This is my husband," or even, "He's with me." She didn't make eye contact at all. Worse, people noticed me standing there awkwardly, clearly waiting for acknowledgement that never came. I felt invisible in a room full of people. The moment that broke me came when her boss, a man named Marcus, finally noticed me. He walked over with a glass of wine and casually asked Emily, "Hey, is he looking for someone?" She didn't correct him. She didn't say, "That's my husband." She didn't apologize. She just shrugged and said, "Oh, he's just here. Just here." That's all I was reduced to. Heat rose in my chest. But before I could speak, Marcus clapped me on the shoulder and said, "Well, enjoy the party, man. Enjoy the party." Like I was some random guest drifting around. I leaned closer to Emily, gently touched her arm, and whispered, "Are you going to pretend I'm not your husband all night?" She pulled her arm back sharply as if I'd embarrassed her. Then, with a tight smile that looked more irritated than affectionate, she whispered, "Please don't make a scene. This is important for my image. Just don't let them think we're together. It complicates things." Those words hit harder than I can describe. Complicates things. Our marriage, our vows were complications to her. The room suddenly felt colder. The music distant. The conversations empty. In that moment, something inside me snapped. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't even ask why. I straightened my jacket, took one last look at her, pretending not to know me, and said quietly, "All right, then." She didn't notice me leave. She was too busy laughing at something Marcus said, resting her hand on his shoulder in a way she hadn't done with me in years. I walked out of the party, down the long hotel corridor, and into the cold night air. The chill cleared my head instantly. I took a deep breath and felt pain. Yes, but also clarity. 5 minutes later, as I reached my car, my phone buzzed, then buzzed again and again. Messages from Emily flooded in. "Where did you go? Are you really leaving? Come back right now. Don't embarrass me like this. And finally, please, I need to talk to you. It's urgent. Urgent." The same woman who acted like I didn't exist suddenly found urgency in my absence. I didn't reply. I sat in silence, watching message after message light up my screen, each one more desperate than the last. That alone told me everything I needed to know. My presence hadn't mattered to her, but my absence did. That was what shook her world. 10 more minutes passed before my phone began ringing. It was her. I answered, not because I wanted to, but because her panic caught my attention. The moment I picked up, she exhaled sharply. "Why did you leave?" she demanded. Then she kept talking, her voice trembling. "I didn't say anything. Now everyone's asking where you went. My boss asked if I'm having relationship problems. People are talking. Can you just come back so this doesn't look weird?" There it was, the truth. She didn't care about us or me or how I felt. She cared about appearances, her reputation, her image. I finally spoke, calm but firm. "Emily, you ignored me all night. You wanted them to think we weren't together, so I'm giving you exactly what you wanted." A silence fell so heavy that I could feel her fear through the phone. "What do you mean?" she whispered. I stepped into my car, started the engine, and said, "From this moment on, we're not." She gasped. I hung up. As I drove away, I expected anger, sadness, maybe regret. Instead, I felt something completely different. Freedom. Clean, powerful, undeniable freedom. I realized I'd been holding on to a marriage she had let go of long ago. I'd been fighting for someone who didn't want to stand beside me. Leaving that party wasn't just leaving an event. It was walking away from a one-sided relationship. An hour later, she came home, bursting through the door, eyes red, makeup smeared. She looked like someone whose entire world had collapsed in a single night. "How could you leave me like that?" she cried. I looked straight at her and said, "You left me first. Tonight just made it visible." She blamed stress, pressure, work, anything she could think of. None of it mattered. The truth was simple. She treated me like an accessory, not a partner. What changed everything wasn't only my decision. It was the realization she had when she saw my face. That calm final look of a man done fighting for scraps. She knew instantly that excuses wouldn't work anymore, that manipulation and guilt wouldn't save her. That night, she saw a version of me she never expected. The version who could walk away without looking back. She begged, apologized, cried until her voice cracked. But sometimes apologies come too late. Sometimes people don't understand your worth until they feel your absence like a blade. And that night, my absence cut deeper than she ever imagined. What happened next changed everything because for the first time in years, I chose myself. I told her I needed space. Real space. I packed a bag, booked a hotel room, and walked out of our home. She stood in the doorway, sobbing, begging me to stay. But the man who left that party wasn't the same man who had entered it. In the quiet hotel room, I stared at the ceiling, realizing how good it felt to breathe freely. How long I'd been suffocating without knowing it. The next morning, I called a lawyer, not out of spite, but clarity. A clarity I'd been missing for years. Emily kept texting, begging, trying to pull me back. But my mind was clear. Love can't survive where respect is missing. And so that night, her boss's party, the night she acted like I didn't exist, became the night I found myself again. She ignored me in front of everyone, but in the end, she pushed me toward the truth I'd avoided for too long. Sometimes losing someone isn't a loss at all. Sometimes it's the beginning of freedom, dignity, and finally choosing yourself.